What up? It's currently 12:30, and I just finished watching Uzbekistan Colombia, and I want to do a match reaction to the first match day of World Cup games. Trying to keep this as concise as possible because we had a lot of games going on. I'm super excited. Some of the games were really entertaining, really good, and yeah, I was just thinking about okay, how do I want to recap the World Cup? Like doing a reaction for every single match every single day. It's not really realistic for my schedule. I try to watch every match. Again, you know, whether it be me at home, me at work, whatever, like that. I'm trying to watch every single game, and I got thoughts about everything. But yeah, before I get into it though, just a quick shout. Me and my friend, we started a podcast, talking a little bit more about footy. We released episode 1 last week, giving our predictions for the World Cup. College Scouting Report. Check it out. All right, we're getting off topic. All right, regardless, I don't think Vinicius Jr. will deliver for Brazil this World Cup. That is my prediction. Look how he ended the season. Look how he ended the season. Did you see the English media? They're questioning if Jude Bellingham should be starting for England. Like, is Jude Bellingham their best starting?
That's gotta be the best rage.
No other country does this. Okay.
One worst player in this World Cup that you'll be seeing gotta be Lamine Yamal.
All right. So kick off the tournament. Mexico, South Africa. Blockbuster of a game. Quinones opened up the scoring in the 9th minute. And Mexico, very impressive. I think they started really well, and they kind of slowed down a little bit until they found the second goal through Jimenez. South Africa, though, I'm going to be honest, as a Nigerian, to see this team top us in qualifying, and after the display they gave on their World Cup, their return back into the World Cup since 2010, I don't know how Nigeria lost this team, but again, less said about Nigeria, the better. South Africa, a performance to forget. We can start getting a little insight into my own World Cup predictions. Spoiler, during my predictions, I had South Africa finishing second in the group after watching them play, and we'll get on to the other two teams afterwards. I don't think that's going to happen. And again, I think they square up against Czechia in the next match day. That'll be important because pretty much whoever wins that game will most likely finish in the third place. And South Korea and Mexico, that'll be a fascinating game as we move on to them. This was a very entertaining game. Czechia, again, very reliant on set pieces. Not really much going forward. Very stiff team. Didn't really create much open play. But Korea, a lot better than I expected because I thought Korea going to this tournament were being slightly overrated. I thought they were going to stay decline Asia, but again, really impressed me against Czechia. Hwang got the man of the match, but really, for me, the star of the show this game was Lee Kingen. Again, this guy being a bench player for PSG is a joke. Absolutely ran the show. Again, players like this, you just watch them play. You can tell they're just a level above everyone on the pitch. And even Son yesterday, he's not what he once was, but still, I still think he was electric at times. Still looks like he has a bit of acceleration left to him, but and other than Czech, I'm just looking for more from them. And not really much. I think them versus South Africa, again, big match. I think it'll be not really that exciting. Maybe it'll be exciting from the fact both teams have to win, but I think neither team really plays that exciting football. I mean, South Africa can. They play the back five, which is not really what they normally play, but South Korea, Mexico, I think that'll be an exciting game. Moving on to this one. Canada, Bosnia, and Canada left frustrated by Bosnia, and they were stunned off a set piece from Bosnia through Lukic. And I gotta say, Bosnia defend heroically. Canada created chances, but seemed very wasteful. Jonathan David, a performance not really to speak about for him, coming off a disappointing season with Juve, and seems like his form has continued to Canada. And if it doesn't turn around for him, it looks like Canada might be, let's say they won't make it far in this World Cup, to say the least. And again, Canada eventually felt a breakthrough through Kyle Larin, who pretty much scored right after he got subbed on. I think for Canada, this is a frustrating result. You would expect them to win against Bosnia. But unfortunately, I think we'll get to the other result in their group underway. Before I get to the U.S., I think we'll just talk about this game just because it was in the same group as Canada. Switzerland, for me, I thought they'd be comfortably topping this group. For me, they were a tier above every other every other team in their group, really. In this game, I just thought it was disappointing. Yes, they got a penalty, which I think, in my opinion, was offside. I don't really know. I guess it was onside, but from first glance, it looked offside. They converted, and other than that, it was certainly just, I think, very wasteful. I think it got to a point where they looked very uninspiring in attack as the game went on, and Qatar started to get more and more belief that they're still in the game, 1 goal margin, and eventually they got the equalizer through, I believe, who was it for them? I don't. I guess it doesn't show on football unless I'm blind. Mahem, which I don't know where he is because it's not showing him on here. It's an own goal. Sorry, it's an own goal. My bad. It looks like okay. Again, a lot of games. I'm tired. Yeah. So yeah, Qatar got the belief. I didn't even know when down was an own goal. I thought the Qatar guy had it, but regardless, Qatar now, they really give themselves some chance. Now this group is completely open. You say they got past the hardest opponent, and you really say if they can beat one of Canada or Bosnia, which this team will have belief they could do so. I gave them no chance to get out this group, but they've given themselves, they put themselves in a position really where they can, maybe sneak out this group at the expense of one of the 3 other teams. And yeah, going on to U.S. and Paraguay. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Going to this tournament, I already told you my thoughts about the U.S. going to this tournament. A lot of pressure on them to perform, given the fact that I thought, in my opinion, everything for the last 8 years has really been building up to this moment. Ever since the failure in Trinidad, and the announcement that the U.S. will be hosting the World Cup in 2026, and how the U.S. Federation has built up this team, everything's been building up. And this is for me, at least in my lifetime, the best U.S. performance I've ever witnessed. Honestly, I was so impressed with how the U.S. was moving the ball. Everyone looked electric. Florida Balogun popping in with 2 goals. Pulisic, lively. I thought Weston McKennie absolutely ran the show that day. And even then, I think Freeman, Robinson, Dest, I thought everyone played to their full potential. Nilo Gio coming off the bench with an amazing Trivela goal. With Paraguay, just seems like maybe the moment got to them. A lot of talk about Encisa going into this game, considering his fitness, like would he be back for this team? And with Paraguay, they have because of the goal difference, they really dug themselves a hole in this group. And yeah, for me as like a U.S. fan, I'm ecstatic with how the team played. We'll get on to the other performers, but for me, the U.S. produced one of the best performances of the tournament so far from any team. And looking towards the game with Australia, and I guess we'll just jump forward to that game. I prefer to go group by group rather than in the order the games are played. I just think it makes more sense. With Australia, it won't be easy. Again, Australia came with 2-0 winners in this game, but if you look at the stats, in this game, it was all Turkey on the ball, but let me say Australia defended heroically. Definitely deserved the win over Turkey. And again, when the U.S. matches up against Australia, definitely won't be a 4-1 scoreline. It looks like Australia are more defensively solid and organized, and definitely have the pace on their counterattack, especially we saw through Iran Kunda, who came up the other end and scored for for Australia. And with Turkey, I just think, again, against the low blocks, it seemed like they didn't have the answers. A lot of the pressure came on Arda Güler, who just, again, on the day was just disappointing. Other players you respect, Hakan, not to his best. Yildiz coming back from injury, but we didn't see much from him. And then, again, I just think, especially these 3 attackers, like Yilmaz, Arda Toglu, and Coach, I just think these 3 are just not. I just don't rate any of these guys. I'll be real. So it's not good enough. Australia deserved 3 points, and yeah, big clash against the U.S. Again, just a little preview of Turkey, Paraguay. Both those teams desperate for a win here because -2, -3 goal difference here. They have to win, and I think they'll have to win by a significant margin. So I think you'll see a very open game in Game 2, in Match Day 2 between those 2. Same Match 2 like it's basketball. Also, shout out to the Knicks for winning. Anyways, next up, Brazil, Morocco, and with this game, I mean, 1-1 I think is the fair result. Morocco had a great opening, 30, 45 minutes. Stunned Brazil. Sabari chips it past Allison, one through ball, splits the defense. The player who impressed me the most, I know he won man of the match, Buwadi. For me, I only knew about this guy through Football Manager, I'll be honest. Highly rated there, and this is my first time ever watching him play. And let me say, I think after this tournament, all the top clubs in Europe will be going after him because he absolutely ran the show against Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes, two very established Premier League midfielders. Casemiro not his best cameo today. Vinny popped up with a goal for Brazil, big equalizer there, and that's what people remember. For me, Vinicius, if you look at his whole performance across the whole 90 minutes, I know it's like, oh, like you can remember for your moments, and Vinny for Brazil turned up with the goal. Sure, but I just thought Vinny overall the course of the game wasn't great. And that being said, I thought the rest of the team was great. Igor Thiago, very much a cameo to forget. Wrong choice from Ancelotti for sure. I hope Endrick starts. I don't know if Ancelotti will start him. I don't really understand the line of playing Paqueta on the right. For me, Paqueta left the West Ham team that got relegated, playing back in Brazil. I just don't think he has any right starting in this Brazilian team. Abani is a right back. This guy, probably the slowest man on the pitch. And then Rafinha just hasn't seemed to click for him for Brazil either. And Morocco, again, I told you going into this tournament, I thought they were one of the most overrated teams looking into this tournament, but it seems like they've got the rhythm. They're a very cohesive team, and maybe I underestimated them a little bit. We'll see when they get to the knockouts, but again, a point for both these teams I think they'll feel comfortable with because they'll back themselves against the other two teams in their group they played, which is Haiti and Scotland. And I think a lot of people, I still watch out for Haiti, and I thought they were going a little bit under the radar instead of people thought they were going to get battered, especially by Scotland. Despite, Scotland came into this tournament off scoring a lot of friendlies, and Haiti had chances against Scotland. They had chances, but again, I think they locked the quality up top. Isidore, not really his best game. Perot, I just think he's not really good enough. And they found a goal through John McGinn. Again, for me, Scotland's best player on the day was dope. I thought he looked lively. He seemed to be causing the Haitian defense problems throughout the whole at least 75 minutes he was on the pitch. And yeah, I think Scotland put themselves in a good position to maybe go through as long as they avoid heavy defeats to Morocco and Brazil. And with Haiti, I think they'll be competitive. Look, Brazil and Morocco will be a tough task for sure, but definitely a team that maybe we can show a bit of resilience against the two other teams in their group. But yeah, big win for Scotland. And I've seen videos all across social media about their fans in Boston and all that. Even at the Red Sox game, it's really awesome to see all that. Full World Cup fever. I'm loving that type of stuff. All right, moving on. Germany, Curacao. Curacao with their debut, and the game started off with Messi scoring an absolute screamer against Curacao within 6 minutes, and you just thought, oh, from then on the floodgates are going to open. But credit to Curacao for coming back in this game. Comencia, and huge moment for them in their World Cup history. Scoring their first ever goal in the World Cup on their World Cup debut. Again, after that, it seems like all the good for Curacao ended as Germany hit 6 more past them. But honestly, with Curacao, to score that goal for them, to even be at this tournament is a massive achievement for their country. And for Germany, I don't really think there's many takeaways from this game just because I had a prediction where I thought Germany were going to hit 6 by Curacao. They hit 7. I don't really think there's much to take away. I think the games against Ivory Coast and Ecuador will be more telling in terms of how far this German team can go in the World Cup. And again, it's good to see Musiala back at his best. Vert's okay. Sane, I think, is still the weak link in this attack, in this team. But, yeah. And Curacao, enjoy the tournament, you know what I'm saying, against Ecuador and Ivory Coast. Who knows? Maybe something can happen. But, yeah. Huge credit for them just to score the goal and even be at this tournament. All right, Netherlands, Japan. In all fairness, I'll be honest. This is one of the games I was unable to watch entirely just because work, life, whatever. But I did watch the majority of this game, and what I'll say from my observations of taking it, I thought Netherlands were a better team, and they seemed to be dictating play, dominating play. Japan seemed to be pinned back. I thought we'd be a little bit more back and forth, and credit to Japan for finding a way in this game. Gravenberch, 2 assists. That's Thornville was lively. Again, with Japan, the question is how good would they be after the huge absences they just lost end of this week, and then going into this tournament they had the loss of Matoma and Minamino. And Nakamura Kamada came up with 2 goals, put some level in the group, and especially and I think now if we go, I should have went to Ecuador or Ivory Coast first, but I'll go back to them. Let's just talk about this group for a sec. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm trying to get this video out. I'm trying to just get my thoughts as quickly and concisely and organized as possible. This one, Sweden. I'm going to be honest. I predicted Sweden were going to get grouped. I thought they were going to struggle. They failed the actual qualification, got through a Nations League path, and I thought going into this tournament, there's a lot of question marks in terms of their form, and it hasn't really clicked for them under Potter. But really, this game they shoulder full force. Now I know Tunisia aren't a good team. Like I've always held the opinion like Tunisia are a team that like they somehow always qualify for these tournaments, but they never look like they play well, and they absolutely blitzed Isaac Yorker Ayari. Which is funny because he did like he's like not celebrating like respect celebration international game, which is it's interesting to say the least. And then the second one, I think he was like cupping his ears or like going crazy with the second celebration, which take that for what's worth. But yeah, Sweden, watch out. I think the games against Japan and Netherlands are now interesting because I thought the Sweden team was going to be disappointing. I thought this was going to be the game where they stumble, and then from there, they weren't going to pick up any momentum. And Tunisia just sacked their manager, actually, after this game. And they're going to bring in, I believe, Renard, the guy seems to be at every international tournament, Coach Saudi in the last tournament. It looks like their tournament is over because, again, compared to the other teams in the group, Japan, Netherlands, if Sweden are hitting 5 past them, who knows what the Dutch and the Japanese will do. And I mean, look, if they're able to somehow turn it around, credit to them, but I don't see it. And it's Japan next for them. Netherlands up for Sweden. Again, I'm interested for the Netherlands-Sweden game. Because for me, I think that game will really show how much potential the Swedish team actually has. If this is not just a one-off because Tunisia are a poor side, but if Sweden actually has the capability to go make a serious run at this tournament. And just to double back to the other group, Ivory Coast, Ecuador. Again, this game ended up 1-0, but it looked like it was going to be a 0-0. And actually a very entertaining 0-0. Ecuador hit the crossbar twice. Ivory Coast hit the crossbar. These teams are having chances. A lot more open game than I thought. I thought these two teams would be just defensively sound. You wouldn't be getting much out of either team, but Ivory Coast, they had the weapons off the bench. Ahmad Boni, and especially when Diamande switched to the other side, he's having a run at Capia, but once Ahmad came on, he swapped to the other side, off the left, and again, that really showed compared to Ecuador's attack, which is still very much reliant on a 36-year-old Ener Valencia, who at this stage in his career is very much on the decline. And it looked like Ivory Coast, can't speak, sorry. The guys on the bench really made a difference. Got them the 1-0 win, which is huge. Puts the pressure on Ecuador. Again, luckily they're up against Curacao, so a game for them to bounce back. And Ivory Coast up against Germany, tall task. And we'll see. Again, like I said, I think in my predictions video, I predicted Ivory Coast. I forget who they matched up. I think I had them matched up in Portugal in around the 32. And I said if this was any other team, like in this if they had a better matchup, I think Ivory Coast, they really can make a run this tournament. And I still believe that because, again, I think their midfield, that's really where the problems are. I think their midfield's a little bit slow, a bit lethargic, but definitely defensively, the back line and, the attackers they possess, I think they have the potential to make some noise in this tournament. Moving on, Spain, Cape Verde. This is probably the shocker of results of the round. Number 2 Spain draws number 67 Cape Verde. And what I said about Cape Verde, I said watch out for them because African qualifying is no easy fast. Definitely deserve to be here. This team will surprise you. Now, did I expect them to beat Spain? No. Or even get a draw? No, I'm not going to go that far. I had them finishing second in the group, and I still think that's very much possible if they play the way they can play. With Spain, again, I just think you look at the front line. Gavi playing as a winger, Ferran Torres and Oyarzabal. These two are not consistent finishers, and Yamal just coming back from fitness. So I think there's question marks on maybe where the goals are coming from now from the Spanish team. Like good overall play, but really, who's gonna be that consistent finisher for Spain? And I think the Spanish team is all of a sudden relying on how quickly Yamal can get up to speed for them to shoot upwards. And again, Nico Williams, De Olmo, I know they had short cameos, but nothing to be too impressed about. And shout out to Vozinga, absolutely still on his head yesterday, 40 years of age, gained an absurd amount of Instagram followers. And Cape Verde, team to watch out for, especially against when we're seeing results like 1-1 Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. And in this game, Uruguay first half, I'm going to be honest, the first half of this game was super dull up until the goal. It looked like Uruguay very stagnant on the attack, very lethargic. Saudi not really much to offer until was it off a corner or deflection off a corner? Saudi get the breakthrough. And from then on, it really put the pressure on Uruguay to start attacking. They took up Darwin Núñez, which I think made a difference. Bielsa made some changes. Uruguay definitely looked a lot more dynamic in the second half, piling the pressure on the Saudi. Saudi were resisting for as long as they could. Uruguay were going at it. Shout out to the Saudi keeper. He had a great game. I know he says commit error that led to the goal, but honestly, he had 9 saves. I gave from me. Despite the error, he still had a fantastic game. I still hold the belief that Uruguay. I still kind of question how far this team can go. But based on the first half of the game, but if they can give me more of the second half, if I can see more of the second half performances throughout the World Cup, then yeah, this team has potential. But again, I think they're up against Spain in the next match. I might be mistaken. I'll probably just have a quick overview of all them. Let's take a quick look. Who do they have in the next match? Oh, they're playing Cape Verde. Okay. So again, against Cape Verde, decisive game for them. It's a must win, but we'll see. Like I said, watch out for Cape Verde. And for Saudi, again, I think if they want, they'll also have Cape Verde. They also feel they'll have a chance against this game, but I think Saudi did well to get a point against them for what it's worth. And yeah, moving on to the next game, which is Belgium-Egypt. Now, this one, I'm going to be on. Was very disappointed with Belgium. For me, I made no secret that I thought Belgium were going to be, we're going a little bit under the radar, and I thought they could make a serious run this tournament. In all fairness, they did pick up in the second half, but it was Egypt who did strike first. Solid assist to Ashore, who, lethal strike from the edge of the box, past Courtois, set Egypt up 1-0. And again, Belgium weren't really creating anything. I thought Doku had a poor game. Doku used this guy tearing fullbacks inside and out in the Premier League, and then couldn't really hack it against. Credit to, I guess he scored the own goal, but someone who's playing in Al Ali. And I thought again, and go ahead had a decent game, but I think the rest of the back line, especially Mounier and Michele, very suspect. Tielemans, Onana, I thought again not the best games. Even De Bruyne, CDK up top, not really inspiring. And Lukaku came on, forced the issue, made the goal happen. But again, with Lukaku, the story always goes he had a big header in the second half that I think he should have buried. Free header, someone that's quality, and I think still, you kind of question Lukaku in those moments. We saw it in the last World Cup, we saw it in the Champions League final, and it's been something that's been haunting him his whole career, despite his international record for Belgium and even his goal record at club level. But yeah, a point apiece. Definitely a fair result. Both these teams are looking to be getting most of their points against the other two teams in this group, who gave us a thriller of a game. One of the games of the World Cup so far. Iran, obviously, a lot going on with them in terms of their whole situation. But just to focus on the football, again, it was New Zealand who struck first. Iran came out the better team, in my opinion, and again, Chris Wood, absolutely bullied the Iranian defense. Just brilliant finish to put it away. Iran then respond not soon too after in the 32nd minute. And again, it seemed like Iran was piling on the pressure until again the same combination would adjust, makes it 2-1 for New Zealand, and then Mohibi again equalizes for Iran off a great header, and 2-2. For me, I've both these teams knew in this game this was the game for them to get 3 points if something were going to happen. If either team were to advance, they would need 3 points out of this game. But again, ended 2-2. Could either of these two do something against Belgium or Iran? Belgium or Egypt. Maybe Egypt. I don't see Belgium slipping up here, and maybe Egypt. Unlike these two teams, with Salah Marmoush and them being more defensively solid, might I just had the experience to get by. So, provide a very entertaining game. Best of luck to these two teams, but tall task ahead for both of them. Okay, moving on to France Senegal 3-1. Again, first half not the most not most enticing half for France. Senegal definitely looked the better team, had the better chances. Biggest chance fell for Sarr at the end of the half. Square ball across the box. On the half volley, just hit over the bar. And again, it just looked like this France team just didn't look cohesive in the attack. Other than these two being, I thought Saliba and Upamecano had fantastic games, but other than that, just didn't really, looked like it wasn't clicking for this France front four. Deschamps made the adjustments. Elise was playing a lot more central second half. And who else to make the difference? Elise had a fantastic game. They gave Mbappe man of the match because of the 2 goals, but really Elise was the difference maker. Slipped Mbappe in, split 2 lines of defenders. And, the thing with Mbappe was if we're talking about his overall play, for being honest, wasn't great. But again, this guy is one of the best players in World Cup history for a reason, because he can pop up with goals like that, especially his second goal, which is an absolute screamer. Right after Senegal equalized, but it was Barcola who came on, but before that, Barcola 1-1. To be honest, it surprised me that he even finished that, given his record in 1v1 scenarios, and chipped over the keeper. Senegal got one. Mike Maignan, keeper arrow, Biaz near post. And other than that, with France, if they can play like that, definitely have the potential to go on and win the World Cup. But I still think there's question marks. Dembele, for me, yesterday was extremely disappointing. Maybe it's just because playing him as a 10, he's used to playing as like a false 9 for PSG. Playing as a 10 is a slightly different role. And for me yesterday, just in my opinion, I just thought he was hiding a lot from the ball. He just didn't seem to be getting on the ball. He seemed to be like wanting to receive the ball in those areas and just do it. Not that great. I also thought Koundé had a shocker of a game. And with Senegal, I think the last goal at the end could hurt them just based on how competitive this group will be with Norway. And yeah, big game up against Norway. That's a must win for them now. And yeah, speaking of Norway, came up against as 4-1 winners against Iraq. Haaland scoring a brace on his World Cup debut. Absolute machine. Iraq did get a little bit of hope. Equalized through Hussein in the 39th minute off a header, but then it came to both a goalkeeper, center back mistake, a combination of the two. Underhit pass, keeper does back off from the ball. Holland, absolute freight train. There's a clip on the BBC. They have like I saw it on social media today. There's some like virtual pitch type of thing, and they just showed like the players do like some type of virtual reality type of thing, and you just see Holland. You have a 6'4" freight train or 6'5" freight train, absolutely running you full throttle, like absolutely like pissing your pants, seeing that guy run at you. And again, Iraq tried. I'll be honest, Iraq was a lot more competitive in this game than I thought. Just seemed to lack the quality. Norway found the third off a corner. You look at the size advantage these guys have, and then at the end, lob ball into the box, deflects off Hussein into an own goal. Yeah, Norway ran out 4-1 winners. Huge for the goal difference for them. Puts the pressure on Senegal and maybe even France, depending on what happens, to have to match the result against Iraq. And yeah, positive start for Norway. His other takeaways, I just didn't really like. By the way, I just didn't like Orgar's performances. I think neither of these two played well. And again, Haaland was a difference maker, and yeah, I didn't think Norway played the best, but I did think overall they just had more quality in Iraq. All right, moving on. A lot of games. Oh, this is probably the pick of the lot. The performance of the lot. 39-year-old Messi with a hat trick. Not many of us saw this coming. You saw Argentina coming into this tournament, defending world champions. What were they going to look like 4 years later? Messi, 4 years older. The team is still very much contains the core of players who won the World Cup in 2022 and still heavily built around the idea of, just built around Messi. And let's say, like Zinedine Zidane's son in goal had a shocker of a game, and Messi opens the scoring. Which looked like to me when I first watched, like an absolute screamer, but again, Zidane made some mess of it. Kind of, should get a stronger hand to it. And then shortly after Messi, controversial decision, should he have been sent off for a red card? If I'm being honest, if his name wasn't Messi, I think that would be a red card for in most cases. But what can I say? I mean, for what we witnessed yesterday, for my own entertainment as a neutral and as an admirer of Messi, you can say, I'm happy he didn't get sent off. But if you want to ask me, should he have been sent off? I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say if he got a red card, it would be the wrong decision. But yeah, Messi's second goal, Zidane spills it. Messi's there to poach it in, and then the third goal is the best of the lot. Picks the ball top of the box, curls it in the near post, and yeah. After Mbappe scored a brace, Haaland scored a brace, this guy comes out here, scores a hat trick, and puts the pressure on who else? But I know we should talk about the other teams in this group, but I'm just gonna skip this one because puts the pressure on Cristiano Ronaldo to respond after he performed. And actually in this game, I'll be honest, a lot of the criticism, especially on social media, the narrative about, Messi scored a hat trick, is Ronaldo holding Portugal back? That's obviously the talk. For me, at least today, I don't yes, was Ronaldo good today? No, he was not. But for me, I have other issues with this Portuguese team that I think are being overshadowed by the fact that, everyone's highlighting this problem with Ronaldo, but there's other problems in this team. Now, before we get into that, let me give some credit to Congo. Again, like I said, team to watch out for. This is a team that knocked Nigeria out of World Cup qualifying. I have huge respect to them. Very defensive, resolute team. Can play. Like I said, they're slow starters. They concede early. That shows, but they grow into games. And when they're on, they can play. And I actually thought they were the better team in the second half. Now with Portugal, again, got the hair through João Neves, who, for me, I told you already. If Yamal didn't exist, he would be my. I said him or Nico O'Reilly, but I said he would be my young player tournament, and good start for that. Sorry to boast about myself a little bit, but anyways, let me talk a little bit more about the game. With Portugal, you look at the sub of the team. For me, I as much as I love Bernardo Silva, and he just announced his move to Real Madrid, I just don't think he should be starting for Portugal. I just don't know what he offers on the right wing, especially compared to what he plays on the right wing for City when, given how City play compared to Portugal playing. For me, the way Bruno Fernandes uses his team, he's underutilized. He's not found enough. Like Vitinha never should be. Everything should be going through Bruno Fernandes. The team should be built around him. He is your best attacking player, so at least the attack should be built around him. And for me, when you have Bernardo Silva on the wing, doesn't really offer much. Just to kind of just pass the ball here, pass backwards. And Neto, I mean Ronaldo, he's 41. He's not going to be a great outlet. He can hold up he's not really able to hold up the ball anymore. And Neto, he's the only one with any bit of pace in his team as an outlet, and he's just not really consistent. So again, I think there's issues for Portugal in terms of the setup for them. And drawing against Congo really puts pressure on them in this group because Uzbekistan and Colombia are in straightforward games, especially the game against Colombia. And I'll get into Uzbekistan in a second, but I'm gonna double back to Austria. Make it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't completely comfortable for them. Jordan resisted for as long as possible. Austria opened the scoring in the 20th minute. Scored an absolute screamer. I think the goal of the tournament so far. I mean, there's been a lot of good goals in this tournament. I just don't think there hasn't been that insane goal that we've seen. But it's only the first match day, and yeah, Jordan responded again, go up the other end on counterattack. Great finish, and Austria, it took them only 60 more minutes for them off a corner, forced the own goal, and then late on score a penalty. Again, just ultimately at the end of the day, Austria just had more quality than Jordan. Credit to them for staying in this game, being competitive. And yeah, but moving on to, again, where was I? Uzbekistan, Colombia, the game we just finished. Colombia came out through and winners, which I think, again, I think Colombia, I don't think they played, I think 3-1 is not inflated. I don't think Colombia played that well. I'm gonna be honest. I think this team could play better. Not to saying they didn't deserve to win. Uzbekistan, defensively resilient. I think at times showed bits of play, but again, going forward, there's still question marks about this team, and ultimately Colombia just have more going forward, more firepower, and I think it showed. And I think the third goal in the end for Colombia, again, very good for the goal difference. That goal can be huge as well as for Uzbekistan. Again, I'm gonna be honest, that play was very underrated when you had Luis Suarez running down the line. I thought this guy was just gonna take it to the corner, spins his man, just crosses it looked like a whole ball into the box, and Colombia make it 3. Uzbek defense switches off because the 98th minute. But again, goals like that, for me, moments like that, football has fine margins. That goal can be huge, especially in this group where I think, from what we've seen, every team is very competitive. And from what I saw, Portugal and Uzbekistan, I think Uzbekistan, the way they set up defensively, I think they could frustrate Portugal. They frustrated Colombia for periods in this game. But Luis Diaz, again, the one who came with the difference, brilliant ball into Munoz, great finish. And Luis Diaz, again, keeper makes a bit of a mess of it. But, Colombia, enough to get past Uzbekistan, puts them in a good position in the group. And moving on to the final group, England, Croatia, probably the game of the tournament so far. Start off with penalty for England, 90-minute wicket, wins the penalty. Modric, 40 years old, you don't expect a player of his experience to be giving away penalties like that. But, again, it starts off with Kane. Initially saved by Livakovic. Kane tried a different lineup, which surprised me, and I think surprised many people. But luckily, refs discovered Livakovic stepped off his line. Personally, I think on the replay, it looks like he still got 1 foot on his line. But regardless, Kane, second time of asking, you can't give Harry Kane a second chance because he makes no mistakes of it, puts it away. And, play goes on, and eventually Croatia find their equalizer through Baturina. Brilliant piece of play from Sucic and Baturina. Sucic absolutely sends John Stones to the ground, lays it back to Baturina. Baturina with a good finish. Pickford maybe should have got a stronger hand to it. And again, it only took till Kane off a corner to level it for England. And right on the stroke of halftime, Musa, the FC Dallas striker, sneaks in behind, gets a goal, 2-2 halftime. And then straight out the half, Jude, brilliant finish. For me, I know Kane man the match, but I thought Jude Bellingham today absolutely fantastic. Ran the show. Was everywhere. Was instrumental in everything positive for England, both offensively and defensively. And subs came on. Rashford took his goal really well. And yeah, I just think with this Croatia team, relying on a 40-year-old Modric, and especially when you're playing up against a midfield of Declan Rice, Bellingham, Anderson, especially these two, especially when you have 40-year-old Modric up against these two who you can argue are two of the most athletic midfielders in world football, I just think it's a terrible matchup for Croatia. And yeah, I still think Croatia will go through because for me, my opinion, as we get to the last game that I'm going to cover, Ghana, Panama, for me, this is definitely, I know Ghana got at the end, late winning in, but let me say this is probably the worst 90 minutes of football I've watched in this tournament. For me, both these two teams are just nothing special about them. Ghana, you would say on paper, maybe should be doing better, but they are. But yeah, Panama had them pinned back for moments in this game. Ghanaian goalkeeper, both of them. I know Ziggy got injured, and they brought on um, the, um, the sorry. Both of them had good games. Panama just lacked the quality up top. Were able to create chances, had bits of decent play, but ultimately ended up in nothing. And just Ghana just looked again very discombobulated, both offensively, defensively, and got in behind at the end against Panama. Got the goal. For me, like in this game, given the fact that England and Croatia are in their group, if either of these two teams want a chance of getting out of this group, one needed to win. It just looked like the way the tempo of the game was being played out, and neither team really was going to win. Neither team really wanted to go through. Ghana ultimately broke through at the end, so opens up this group for some drama. Panama, I think their tournament is done. This was the game for them, but ultimately, I just think Ghana, both Ghana and Panama, these two teams, two of the weakest teams in the tournament. I think England will make quick work of them, and I think Croatia should have enough experience and quality in their squad to get past both these two. So, yeah, that's all I got for Matchday 1. World Cup has been fantastic so far. I'm really excited about Matchday 2. We want to get this video out before the games start tomorrow. Yeah, and we're going to keep going. So hopefully, next reaction after Matchday 2, have a little bit more sense, kind of start drawing up matchups, who's going to play who in the knockouts, who needs what in Matchday 3, the drama, the excitement is going to keep getting better and better. Check out the podcast. I don't know when we'll record episode 2 because, again, it's on me and my friend. Depends on our schedules, obviously both of us work. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. And peace out.